Hi, everybody. Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. And tonight's guest is a special guest. He is brand new to YouTube. He's done 3 videos. I've seen them all. They're pretty good for somebody starting out. I mean, it's the equipment thing. You get better equipment, you get better video quality. You're doing great. So this is Mike. He's known as Comic Mike. Say hi to people. Mike is a brand new YouTuber who I want to make feel welcome. He has been a long time watcher on Alan's channel and some of us other channels, and he does a lot of commenting in the live stream comment area. But this is his first. I think, when did your first video go up? About a week ago?
Less. I did I think Friday or Saturday morning.
Yeah, Friday. Yes. So he's very new at it, and Mike was the one who sent me as an AOK this Korak book and this Tarzan book and this Destructor book, and I forget the 4th one, but
it was Space, the Charlton.
Yes, the Charlton one. I've read that and filed it already. Yes, that's a good. Now that you say that, I remember.
Well, that one it was a boo-boo, because what happened was I had one, and I bought one not knowing that I already had it, and then when I went to go file it, I'm like, oh, I have it, So I bet, because I that cover, I like the cover.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Unless you know what I mean, I have my list with me. Sometimes I don't remember them all, which is weird, because I can look at a cover that I've read and remember what the story is, but I can't remember if I have it.
No. So look, I've been collecting again for about 8 months, and already I think 4 times I bought something that I have.
Well, it's hard to do, because if it's appealing to you once, it's usually appealing to you a second time. So we get that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So before we get any further, let's say hello to everybody who showed up tonight. We've got Lyle, who's first. Hi, Lyle. We have Kay Munin. Hi, Andreas. We have Belizard, who's now subscribed to Comic Mike.
Thanks a lot.
Big Nasty Comics. It's good to see you, Rich. Rich was on my show not too long ago.
Yes, I remember watching that. Yes.
Yeah. We have Dan's Hobby Corner, who is also subscribed to Comic Mike.
Thank you very much.
We've got Thomas O'Donnell, who's going to be on my show in a couple of weeks.
Okay, great.
Good to see you, Thomas. Chonko.
Hey, Chonko.
If
I
you
think
want,
it was when you had him on that you had that's when you showed my AOK, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
That's correct. Correct. Oh, Lyle has subscribed.
Thanks, Lyle.
Let's see here. We've got the ever wonderful and always helpful Christina Payne, who's already dropped the link to your channel.
Thanks, Christina.
We've got JSS Brooklyn. I guess I'm sorry, JSS. I guess the wrench didn't work. I'll have to look at what I did wrong. We've got Hallyak Comics. Hey, Nate, welcome to the show.
I recently subscribed to his channel. It's a good channel.
He is. Nate is one of the first people that I met when I was doing this. And I met him on the All Sorts of Words channel with Ricky. Ricky's another one who, if anybody out there isn't subscribed to, should. He doesn't come on very often, but when he does, it's hilarious. And so let's see here. I think that's everybody. Okay, that's everybody. So first thing I'm going to ask you there, Mike, is the same thing I ask everybody when they come to the show. I'm trying to find, there we go, the comment I had up. How did you get started with comic books?
Well, I have 2 origin stories, actually. One of them isn't comic books. It's just superheroes. When I was a little kid, I was introduced to superheroes from Saturday morning cartoons. I'm born 1972. I think you're 71.
I
So
am.
you understand, like, when we would at that time, the 70s was all about Saturday morning cartoons.
It was.
Yeah, that was the highlight of the week.
How do
So,
you think I ended up addicted to these things?
well, Saturday morning cartoons spinned off into so many other things. So
Exactly.
I started watching a Saturday morning cartoons, and my favorite cartoon was the Super Friends.
Yes.
And
Big one of
so
mine.
that it still is to this day. If I watch it, I still enjoy it. My kids don't like it because they don't like the way it's drawn, but the stuff that they watch now, it's like I can't even compare it to what they're doing.
Well, part of what I find with cartoons today, and people out there may agree or disagree, compare the cartoons in the 70s and 60s, although they were not they reused a lot of the cells and stuff and to save on money and all that stuff. They were still more drawn like comic books and like cartoons you see in the newspaper,
Yes.
where today's comics, I swear in the 90s especially, there was this gross out thing where they were doing everything they could. Like characters were puking all the time and they were drawn very garishly compared to what they used to be.
Yeah,
Things have changed since with the computer generated images,
of course.
but for the longest time, the cartoons went down. I mean, anybody out there remember Johnny Bravo, where he's just going, and he had this weird straight haircut and weird face? You know, it wasn't a bad cartoon, but the art was terrible compared to these 70s cartoons. So I completely agree with you there.
Well, I'm a 70s, 80s kid, so that's what I'm used to. So basically, I started with Super Friends, and then there was other superhero cartoons, and then I got introduced to Batman 1966 TV show, the
Yes.
reruns, because in the 70s they were doing a lot of reruns, and my dad knew I liked Batman, so he would make me watch it. And I started to watch that, and I was obsessed with it. And my brother and I would play Batman and Robin. He would have to be Batman because he was older, and I had to be. We didn't have costumes. We just used to
Yeah.
take a towel and we used to wear it, and we had so much fun. So that's my first introduction into superheroes. Then,
Right.
like in the 70s, as you know, then they had the Superman movie, the live
Yes.
action movie, which to
Oh
me
my
was the
God,
best.
Christopher Reeve was so awesome.
Yeah. To this day, I still think Superman 2 is my favorite Superman movie. And
Which cut? Because there are two technically now.
I probably because I
Because the
saw it at the
original,
theater.
yeah, so that'd be the original cut, which
Okay,
is
but then
probably the better of the two.
the reruns that they did over TV over years and years and years. So I mean, then we had Superman,
I think
and
there he is.
there was so much good stuff that we like. The things that people look at now, we got to experience it firsthand, and they'll understand what it was like actually seeing Star Wars, unless they're our age or a little bit
Mhm.
older. Seeing it live compared to
Yes.
what they're giving you now.
I
So
saw Star Wars at age 5. I
at the
was
theater.
almost 6. I was almost 6. No, at the drive-in.
We didn't go to the. My mom,
Yeah.
my parents,
Oh,
my parents are immigrants, but they were still cool enough to take us to go watch the movie at the theater because they knew we wanted to watch it. And
Yeah.
I got to see the Star Wars at the theater, Superman 1 and 2 at the theater. So those were great memories. And so now what happened was at that, because I loved it so much, the Batman, in 1978, they were doing a car show. Like they would do car shows every year in Montreal. I don't know if you would know it, in Place Bonaventure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I know the place.
That's where they used to do all the car shows. So at the car
Right.
show, they did an exposition of the original Batmobile. And with the original Batmobile, there was Adam West and Burt Ward signing.
Nice.
So my parents decided they were going to take my brother and I to go there and meet Batman and Robin, and we were so happy. And the good thing is, the only thing I have left of my childhood are the
Nice.
original pictures, autographed of Adam West. It's a bit
Very
old
nice.
because, like, as you see the tape residue and everything, because this thing was hanging on my wall for so long.
Yes.
And then I
Still.
got Robin.
Nice.
You know, and
I
these are cherished souvenirs. The only
Mhm.
thing I have left of my childhood.
I'm very jealous about that because Ottawa Comic Con in 2019 or 18, whichever year it was that Adam passed away, had scheduled Burt Ward, Adam West, and Julie Newmar to all come together, and they were going to do a show and they were going to sign autographs together. Adam West had to cancel at the last minute because he got sick. 5 weeks later, he passed away.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, okay.
And
okay.
that was my only ever chance that I had to meet with him, and so I was extremely disappointed because if there was one guy just to say I'd met him that I wanted to meet, it was Adam West.
And I got to see him. I was 5 years old. It was a thrill, and even to this day, it's still my favorite Batman show. So
yes, I know. The Batsui.
yeah,
Everybody remembers that.
And for all those people that they used to like the Catwoman. Okay.
Yep.
And don't forget that was on the third season. That was the first black Catwoman.
Yeah, that's right. Eartha Kitt. That's correct.
What was her name? Something.
Eartha Kitt.
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt. Yeah.
And she was pretty good. At first, when I saw her, I'm like, what? But then she played the part right.
Well, I remember seeing her on the screen for the first time, and I had been mostly watching Julie Newmar ones. So I was like to my dad. I mean, this has been in the 70s, right? But I said to my dad, "How come the Catwoman is different?" He said, "Well, it's a different actress." And he tells me this, and then he says, "Do you remember the song Santa Baby that you hear at Christmas time?" Yeah, she's the one who sings it. At that point, she became my favorite Catwoman.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. See, I learned something new.
Yeah.
And then in 1980, my dad bought our first VCR.
Right.
And with the VCR, he started recording the show every week, and I got to watch it reruns and reruns and reruns. So after that, a couple of years passed. I still watched the cartoons as I got older, but I wasn't as into it as I was when I was a young kid. Then right around 13, I would say 12 or 13 years old, there was a boy on our street, an older kid, and he was telling all the younger kids he was buying baseball and hockey cards. And we all had that, and you want him anymore. So he's like, okay, great. So I went to his house, and he showed, I sold him my baseball cards, my hockey cards. Then I noticed on his bed, he had some comic books. And on the top, he had a Bronze Age Neil Adams cover of, I think it's Batman 244, the one with Ra's al Ghul. He's standing over him with the sword.
242, yeah.
242. Yeah. I saw that and I looked at it and I says, wow, what? That's not Batman. I mean, because I'm used to the Batman TV show. And then I saw that and I was so drawn to it. And I okay, you know what? After that, I said, where do you get comic books? Where do you get comic books? And he showed me the places that he used to buy them. And unfortunately, where I used to live in St. Leonard, and there was no comic shops there. To go to a comic shop back in the 80s in Montreal, you had to go downtown. Mm-hmm. So I had to get in the metro and whatever. So we used to do the traveling. This was 1986, end of 86, early 87, when I actually started buying comic books.
We have a question here from Robbie Joseph. Did you see Shazam and ISIS? I know
yes.
I did. I used to buy the ISIS comic book when it was out briefly.
Okay.
In my first collection. I don't have any now, but
ISIS had a live action Saturday morning cartoon, but it was not a cartoon, but a TV show. Didn't last long. I liked that one. Don't forget, there
Yeah.
was even a live action Spider-Man.
Yes, and there
It
was
was
there's
bad,
the
but I
Croft
liked
the
it.
Croft power the Croft hour, you know, with Sid and Marty Croft stuff, you know,
Uh,
yeah, HR Puffin stuff. There was
but
a whole bunch of that sort of stuff.
we had nothing to compare it to, so for us it was good. Like
Yes,
if you're gonna compare it to what they're doing now, it's like, oh my god. But back then, it's like if you
yes,
saw a guy flying, even if you saw the little strings holding him, you don't care. You're happy, you know.
exactly.
Didn't take much for us to be happy. So in 86, 87, that's when I started actually collecting. Batman was always my favorite character. So he was the first one I started to follow the series. And Superman was also one of my favorites. So basically, when I started collecting comic books, it was Batman, Superman. And
Yeah,
from there, then okay, I started buying let's say a Wonder Woman. I started that was when George Perez started the Wonder Woman 1.
yeah, that would be 86 or 87.
80, 87.
Yeah,
That was like the reboot of all
yeah,
the
for post
series.
crisis. Yeah,
Yeah, this was just after Crisis, I believe.
yeah,
And and I also think that that was like the perfect time to start collecting comics because you're in already a new era. So I enjoyed watching it and collecting, and I did that for so many years. There was no internet. There
hmm
was just your local comic stores. And every 6 months, there would be a convention at a hotel downtown. There was no Comic Cons in Montreal, I think, until probably the early 2000s.
yeah. I think Montreal Comic Con's the second one they had, but they had one that only lasted a couple of years.
Yeah.
And there was a break, and then Montreal Comic Con came along. I think I want to say 2008, 2009.
Yeah, it could
But
be.
it's
It could
been a
be.
long time.
Because when we used to go to a comic convention, it was usually a dirty old hotel with a room, and there was a
Yeah.
bunch of, there was no cosplay, there was no, none of this. So, so basically, I did that, and I collected for many years. Then I stopped for a couple of years. Then I restarted a couple of years. I did that trend, which a lot of us did, and they basically the biggest mistake, if you saw one of my other videos, was
Yeah.
I amassed a pretty good collection, pretty decent. Okay, I never had like 10,000 comics. I had maybe 2,000, 2,500, but they were like specifically chosen because
Right.
what I used to do is I used to buy comics. Even if it was ones that I didn't know, I just bought and bought. And when I started to see too much stuff was accumulating, every year I would do like a cleanup. I says, okay, these books I don't want, I'd sell them. And then after I would use that money and buy the other ones that I want, So I was, and
So, sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, at this point, I'm going to make you big if you want to show us some of your books.
I'm gonna start
Okay?
showing. I'm gonna start showing some of the stuff. When I got back into collecting 6 to 8 months ago,
Hi, Biggie.
the first thing that I started to buy were books that were everything that I used to have. I would go through everything and say, okay, I have to buy this, I have to buy this, and I have to buy this. So what happened was when I sold all my comics, I ended up only with a short box, which is still of my original collection, which I'll show some of those. Then I start. So one of the books, some of the books that I like to collect were books that remind me of my childhood. Okay, so there's always a comic that I used to want because let's say it was something of the TV cartoon or TV show. So I'll just grab a couple of them here. First one is going to be obviously my favorite cartoon that I used to watch, and that's Super Friends.
Super Friends, yes.
So this is first appearance of Zan and Jaina. This one here, I used to have the full run. Now I don't, so I'm gonna continue this one with to get the full run. So this is one like I connect to my childhood. Then in the Super Friends, in the later years of the Super Friends, they introduced Firestorm.
Yes, I remember that. That was the superpowers era. I think it was
Yes.
the last one they did. They brought Firestorm and Cyborg onto the TV show.
Yes. And this character is such a cool character, but he was just not done right
No.
in the TV show and everything. And that's why people lost interest, because he had the potential to be, a really, really great character. Another TV show, Matt, I know you know this one. Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica. Oh my God, I loved that show.
It was a great show.
I haven't watched it yet, but I managed to download all the episodes from the original, both that one and the Galactica 8 1980, and I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I think YouTube has no, I'm not sure. All right, another thing that I used to love to watch when I was a kid. I don't like basketball. I don't watch basketball, but I loved the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh yes, they were funny.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that cartoon was one of the funniest ones that I remember. I don't know what was funnier, Curly's jokes, or the guy with the big afro that was always pulling stuff out of his hair.
Curly was my favorite. Curly was my favorite. Now, I'm gonna see here another TV show that I know you know. Welcome back, Cotter.
Welcome back, Cotter. Wow. You know, it's scary that the only people still alive from that was on that show is Vinnie Barbarino there, John Travolta, and Gabe Kaplan, who was the teacher.
Oh, okay. This even here gives you a bonus. Everything you wanted to know about Gabriel Kaplan. Vinnie Barbarino. For all those who don't know, this is what started John Travolta. I mean, this is before Grease and before Saturday Night
Fever. Yep. He got those roles because of that TV show.
Yeah,
and you know what's hilarious?
He was funny.
Gabe Kaplan is now a professional poker player.
Oh, from a comedian to a poker player.
Yes.
And when we were kids, we all wanted to be sweat hogs, because that's the name of their gang. A cartoon that I used to watch when I was a little kid. I liked it. Some of the other kids didn't. Casper.
Nice.
I don't have too many Caspers, but I saw this one at a good price. I said, you know what? Why not? I like it.
Have you ever dealt with a guy by the name of Rosaire Paiement out of Montreal? Everybody calls him Rosie. Rosaire Paiement.
No.
Out of Montreal. Because he carries a lot of things like Casper and stuff like that. So I was curious.
Does he have a Facebook or something? I would check out.
I don't know. I just see him every couple of months. He's in Ottawa, and I buy books from him. So.
Oh, okay. So another one which we were just talking about before, ISIS.
Nice. See, I had that years ago, and I know I sound like Alan right now. I don't have it now, but I did have that book at one point.
Yeah, I like it. I bought it as soon as I saw it. As soon as I saw it was available, I bought it. Another book. When I was a kid, I used to love to play with Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, my parents always used to end up buying me the other brand. What was it called? Matchbox.
Matchbox, yes.
And finally, because they used to buy them at the supermarket. They used to have them for sale. And I kept on saying, I want Hot Wheels. All my friends have Hot Wheels. So finally, they bought me Hot Wheels, and I played. So because I used to love Hot Wheels so much, I got the Hot Wheels #1 comic, 1970.
Nice. And that's the DC one. That is awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And this is actually, it's a very pricey book.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've never read that book, but I've seen it at conventions go for about $100.
Yeah.
In the high grades, of course.
Yeah.
But
this is a high grade, but I bought this a long time ago, so I paid under $10 for this. So and that was one of the books that the guy was offering me, like, I think at the time, $5, whatever. And I said, you know what, for that price, I'm going to keep it. And now, because see, in the 90s, when I bought that book, no one cared about that book. That would probably would have been considered a dollar bin book.
Yes. And if it's in really bad shape, it still kind of is.
Well,
in some cases. But the fact is, books like that, there are not a lot of them. They
No,
should
but
be worth more.
it's a 6-issue run.
Yeah,
For some reason, I don't know why they were low print runs, and number 6 is the lowest print run.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's not a lot of them out there. When you consider that half of a run print, half of an issue's print run doesn't even get sold usually in the first place. Then you've got the ones that get wrecked because kids wreck them and do whatever. A book like that in high grade is very difficult to find.
Well, I saw recent ones on eBay, like 9.0 CGC graded. I actually a sale that just happened a month ago, sold for like $500 or $600 US.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's those books are fantastic. I would love to get my hands on one of those, but I've got so many other books that I'm trying to get that it's like I'm the classic hoarder. I mean, face it. I want everything. I don't care, and I want to read everything. So
now here's another one that I got. Reprint action number 1. The Safeguard
even those are worth
reprint.
$20-$30 now.
Hmm?
Even those reprints are worth $20-$30 now.
Yeah,
they're harder to find, getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah, this one is a very high grade. The defect with these promotional giveaways is a lot of times you see the page of and behind like bleeding through.
Yeah.
But that's normal because the quality of the paper and this book is so thin.
Yeah. I know. They didn't exactly use their best quality stuff when it came to giveaway books.
Well, not because they're giving them away, so they don't want to spend the top dollar. So this is something that I know you're going to like this.
Hang on a second there. Wayne, you are absolutely right. That one of the reasons I like to get the Hot Wheels books is because the art is absolutely fantastic. I think that's the 1988 reprint, Lyle. I'm not sure it's the 76.
No, it's 1976.
Oh, it is the 76. Okay.
Yeah. The 88 wasn't a Safeguard reprint. It was just a reprint, but you had to pay 50 cents.
Oh, right. Okay. I see now.
So this is a book that I know you're going to like, Treasury Edition.
Oh, very nice. I love Treasury books.
Yeah. I bought a few. I bought a few because when I was a kid, I could never afford them. Yeah. And now I said, you know what? If I get a good deal on them, I'm going to buy them. So this is I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to reading that one. Hopefully it's a good story. I'm pretty sure it will. All right. Now I got some other here. I got some other books here that I call them up Matt's alley. Because I know what you like now, so I figured let me see what I got that you would see. Actually, this is something I like, but I'm sure you're going to like it too. I started rebuying back some Batmans, so I always love this cover, the 30th anniversary.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because you got Batman, Robin, Joker, Penguin, and then you got the 2 original books.
And considering that came out in '69, they just finished the TV show.
Yeah.
So it was still cool that they had the Joker and the Penguin on the cover because they were moving away slightly from the villains that were on the show for a bit because they were seen as silly.
But just at this time is when it started to get a little darker.
Yes. And when it went darker, they went more with sadistic murderers for a little while. And then they brought out the demon there, that Ra's al Ghul, and
because I think at the time they started to see that some of the readers weren't exactly little kids. They were older teenagers and whatever. So they wanted to get, them more into it.
My understanding is that early Marvel, one of the reasons it lasted was with the Hulk himself. That little 6-issue series from 1962 was actually quite popular on on college campuses.
Okay.
And that led other people at that age period, which is like 19 to 21, that led them to read the Marvel comics. And that's why the Marvel comics seem to be a little more mature and a little older than the DCs at the time.
Okay. Another Brave and the Bold. It's not a valuable book, but I like it.
Oh, that's a fun one. I have that.
Anytime I see Joker and Penguin on the cover, I got to buy it. Yeah, Joker has always been my number 1 villain. Okay, now we're going into the Matt books. So Legion of Superheroes #1.
Ah, yes, the mini series of reprints from 1972, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me see here. Karate Kid #1.
Heartland. I
Uh,
don't have Karate Kid 1, but I have most of the series.
okay. I got #1. I'm gonna buy the rest of the series.
Yeah.
I always start. I
I
have a
believe
thing
I
where I
have
gotta
the
start. I gotta get #1. That motivates me to get the rest.
with what the reason I ended up with the way I do it is because if I see it in the dollar bin, I'll pick it up.
Oh, okay. If that's
You
if
see,
that's the
and
case, that's another story. You
yeah,
pick it up. Here's
it's
another
because
one.
it's a book that you don't see. I don't know what it's like the shows in Montreal, but the shows near my place, if it's not a key, they tend to throw it in the $1 or $2 bin.
Okay. Here
So
you're gonna find the dollar bin books. They're nothing good. And if
mhm.
you're gonna buy a Bronze Age or Silver Age, they charge a lot.
Okay.
Here, Superboy #1 annual.
Nice.
It's in pretty decent condition. The flaw with these square bound is, they always have spine issues.
I
This
know.
one here has a little bit, but it's pretty solid. This one here. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to collect all the #1 giant size annuals from the early '60s.
Batman #1 and Superman #1 are going to set you back.
I got Batman #1 recently.
Oh, good.
I should be receiving a Lois Lane annual #1 in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
I think all that's left is the Superman and the Flash.
Does Jimmy Olsen not have one?
No, I don't think so. Not all of them have it, unless it is, but I just couldn't find it.
That is true. No.
I think it's just Batman, Superman, Superboy, Flash, Lois Lane.
Yeah.
All right. Volume 2, Superboy #1.
Yeah. I have the entire run of that series.
Yeah, I got #1 only. So,
Mhm.
but see, a book like this, because like the issues, a lot of them are not expensive. What I try to do is I try and find somebody that's selling a lot, because if I'm going to individually buy issues on eBay, the shipping is worth more than the book.
Yeah.
So I want to try and find somebody who has, let's say, 10 issues or 12 issues, and then I continue to buy that. All right. This one, everybody knows that one, Death of Superman.
Yes.
Were you collecting comics at this time?
I was.
Okay.
I collected, my first comic collecting run was from 1977 until 1996. That's when I said I got to sell all this. I was getting jaded with what was going on with the comics at the time.
Okay.
So I got rid of them all. And if I just held out 2 more years, then the first Buffy series would have been out and I would have been all right back in it. But I didn't. Then I rediscovered in 2010, somebody told me there was a Buffy series. So I went to check it out at the comic store and I bought 14 books.
You know what?
And they weren't all Buffy.
It's like, it's like Al Pacino said, every time I'm out there, I think I'm out, it pulls me back in.
Exactly. And I've been collecting like crazy ever since. I mean, we had my son was less than a year old when I started buying them again. Oh, sorry, no, he was 2.5 when I started buying them again. So I was home a lot watching him, so it was something to do at the same time.
Now, this is one of my favorite covers of Superman from the 80s. I always found when I saw it that this is a classic cover, but it doesn't go for much.
Oh, I love that. 424.
It's such a classic cover.
It is. And for the first issue of Adventures of Superman after the crisis, I mean, they took the numbering, of course, from the first Superman series. Yeah. It was just amazing because that book and the first Superman book, with Metallo in it, those 2 books were real after the Man of Steel miniseries. They were strong starts to the post-crisis Superman with the new story they were trying to do.
Yeah. So that cover, I mean, this one I actually might even buy it slabbed because I know I can get it at a cheap price just to display it on the wall because it's so nice.
Yeah.
You know, this is before I started collecting comics. Getting back to what I said, what got me into superheroes when I was a little kid. My mom was like a bit hippie-ish in the 70s. She loved records, record players. We had all this equipment. She bought this is the first book I ever had. So it's a comic book record set.
Oh yes, I've seen that before. That is pretty
That's
cool.
a Neil Adams cover.
Yeah.
This isn't the actual one that I had when I was a kid because that one's long destroyed.
Yeah.
Because we listened to it. This was our internet. This was everything.
Yeah.
You know, and this was when I started collecting back in comics. This is the first book I bought back because it was the first book I've ever had.
I always laugh when I think back to my first 3 records, like my first 3 LPs I was given in the late 70s as a kid. I got Sesame Street Fever because I was into Sesame Street.
Huh.
I got the Star Wars soundtrack and Love Gun by Kiss.
Kiss. I love Kiss growing up too. All right, so now I'm going to get into stuff that I just started getting. See, I'm going to give an explanation of my collecting. When I was collecting back when I was younger, it was basically strictly superhero, Marvel and DC. I always tended to swing more to DC, but I still like some Marvel. Sorry. Getting back watching YouTube, starting to watch Alan's channel, he opened my eyes to all the different companies because I wasn't looking into other companies of it, so watching his channel, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know this company existed. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I started like looking for other titles, other kinds of books, some golden age, but I haven't gone full blown into the golden age because there's still so much bronze and silver that I want to collect.
I agree with you. I love golden age books. I think they're amazing.
Huh.
Okay. But I've got other things I'm collecting right now, like Silver Age Superman that I'm buying before that.
I love Silver Age Superman. I love Silver Age, Bronze Age. I started to recollect a lot of the Bronze Age and Silver Age Supermans that I used to have that I sold, and now I'm paying a lot more for them. All right.
Hi, Adam.
See, here is this is a book that I never would have looked at before. World of Mystery #1. Bob Powell cover.
Yes.
1956. So this is just like the border of when the code came in. That's why you have such
it's so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I it's amazing if I can just do this there. As I got this from Son of Crom the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Size, like this is 1955. This book, you can see the size of the code compared to what it becomes later. I mean, I think this 1960s book, the code thing is still reasonably big.
Yeah,
but then you get down to here's the 70s.
Yeah,
and not so big. So
it shrinks as the years go by.
Yeah. When it was last used in 2011, it was barely on the cover.
So now, another book that I have from my original collection. I always loved this cover. Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves #1.
Oh yes, I love that book. That's one of my favorite Charlton books.
Yeah. The only other books that I did buy apart from Marvel and DC were Charlton because they were readily available. So those were easy to get. So when I was able to get #1 in a really high grade,
I'm jealous, Comic Mike, about that Hot Wheels issue.
Well, look, there's a few on eBay now, maybe $500 or $600. You get a nice graded one, high grade. That for some reason I just couldn't let go of that book. I don't know why.
So, are you a reader, or do you just collect the books and let them sit?
I'm a reader, but I can't. I got 3 little kids. I
Yeah.
got a job. So now if I'm lucky, after everybody goes to bed, if I get to read one book, it's a miracle, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not like a consistent, like I'm not gonna read 6 books in like a few hours, like one after the other. I'll choose a book, I read it, I put it away, and then like I still enjoy the stories.
Yeah. I'm very lucky in the fact that I work from home. So my comics are here. So when I have my 15-minute break, I've got time to read 2 or 3.
Okay.
You know,
See,
so
I'm spending half the day driving around. By the time I get
yeah.
home, pick up the kids, and it's like I can't do it. Okay, this book I like to call
Hi, Stephen.
An Allen book, because I would have never have bought this book unless I was watching Allen's channel.
Mhm.
Africa, Thrilling Land of Mystery #1,
With Cave Girl.
Cave Girl and Thunder.
Nice.
I've never bought a Cave Girl book in my life, but
Mhm.
then I saw this one and I'm like, and I'm actually started to get into Bob Powell.
Mhm.
So when I see his work, I actually like it, so I pick it up.
Very nice. That is wicked. Actually, I was talking with Alan the other day, and I was telling him he doesn't realize what a big influence he's been on this community.
Of course.
Because I discovered Alan through Lunch Money Comics,
Okay.
and if I hadn't spoken to Alan, as I was telling you before we went on, he wouldn't have convinced me to go on and be interviewed by him, and then I wouldn't have gotten the bug, and
Okay.
to do this. So, and
Look,
there's a lot of people.
he's the thing. What drew me to Alan was he's a likable guy. He's showing books, but like not arrogantly. You know,
Yes,
it's like you can tell he has the passion for it.
yeah, he
I
does.
really wish he would rebag and board his books. Okay.
I know one guy in the chat who would agree with you.
Yeah, because like I have a thing, okay, where not long ago I was in a comic shop and I saw a guy, he's going through the dollar bins and whatever. He was there for a long time. And he's scratching his ass
Yeah,
and he's continued to flip. And I'm like, oh my God, we're buying books. God knows what's on. So the thing I always do, as soon as the books come in my house, bags come off, new bags
Yeah.
come on.
I'm the same. I am the same way for much. It's not thinking of the guys scratching their butt. I just
Good.
like what I don't know how long the bag's been on there.
Well,
When I rebag it, then I know when it's been on. And
well,
then
how
I
many hands have been on it?
Yeah.
The like how many people you see them, they're doing this and then they're going back, you know, so it's gotta be it's gotta be, you know, your own. It's because when you own the book, you protect the book. You put a new bag and board. Well, the board, it depends. I only change the board if the board is a low quality board.
Yeah.
But the bag, I have to change it.
That I understand. I
It's
completely agree.
it's something I have to do. Let me just take a look. I have a series that I am currently trying to collect the whole run. A lot of people don't like it, but I like it. Challengers of the Unknown.
There are actually, I've seen a couple people not too long ago who have been trying to collect this series.
It's only like an 85 or 86 issue run.
Yeah.
Started in 1958, I believe.
And
these
I
guys,
think that was Jack Kirby that started
Jack
the art on
Kirby,
that.
I believe this was the inspiration for Fantastic Four.
I'm sure it was too.
Okay. Because calculate this group of 4 characters predates Justice League, it predates Fantastic Four. So I think these guys were an influence on several new groups coming.
Right.
Yeah, they were influential on a lot of them. And the problem with the Challengers is that it never got like the credit it deserved.
Agreed.
I like them. They have some really cool covers.
Yes, and I've never read any of the original books, but I've read a showcase book with the reprints.
Yeah.
And it's a great series. It does not get it is much better. It's so unknown. It
Yeah.
needs to get written. It needs to be read.
And the good thing about it is it's not a complicated story because usually
No,
they're all one shots, most of them.
exactly.
You know, so it's not like you have to follow another 5 books and get this and get this. Because I'll be honest, everybody watching, I don't collect new comics yet because when I went back to the comic shop and I started looking, I am so confused when I see everything.
Yeah,
I, don't-
and it can be very daunting with what's out there now.
I wouldn't even know where to start. So my comfort zone is Copper, like
Nice,
basically
Nate.
1990 and before. That's my comfort zone.
Nice,
So
Biggie.
I'll show another couple of covers of Challengers of the Unknown. See here, you know they created this character multi-woman and multi-man.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing about it is, as it started going closer to the 70s, it started losing some of the sci-fi, going a bit into like the darker, like horror
Yes.
kind.
Because it seemed to be the way comics. I find that the 70s darkness came out. They came out of it a little bit in the 80s, but by 1990 they were right back in it, and they haven't gotten out since.
Yeah, like late 60s already, you started to see.
Yeah.
You know, they're going into like a darker monster kind of trend. You know, so
Yeah.
So, but and then after it went back into sci-fi and because it stopped for a couple of years and then it restarted.
Mhm.
So that's for those ones. Let me see what else I can show you.
Yeah, we're gonna do it just a couple more, okay? Because we're coming up on 50 minutes.
Okay. I'll go through. I love this cover. New Gods #1.
Now that is vintage Kirby right there.
I love this cover. I have to have it. This I had sold it and I rebought it back, and luckily when I rebought this one, it's a better condition than the one that I used to have. So I'm very happy with it. So, and then I'll show two more books.
Perfect.
Which I believe are underappreciated books.
A lot of the stuff you've shown tonight are underappreciated books, but great books. And
I know, I love them.
Really impressed.
Superheroes #1, the Fab Four. I guess they're trying to do a Fabulous Four version.
Yes.
Dell.
That lasted maybe 3 issues.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
Yeah.
I got a high grade copy, not expensive. I said, you know what? I'm keeping this one. No problem. And this one here, Top Secret Adventures #1, Spyman.
Now that's cool. Harvey is another underrated company.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody sees them mostly as the Casper, Richie Rich type stuff, their horror and their superhero stuff, really good. I mean, a lot of people do know the horror side, but their superhero stuff from the early 60s was pretty good.
Because most people, they were like me when I was collecting. They were more into like DC, Marvel. Everything else wasn't important. But at the time when I was collecting in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of the books that
is true, Thomas. You're right. That is the first Steranko.
Yes, that is the first Steranko art. Not the cover, but interior.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the amazing that for it being the first Steranko art, this book really doesn't go for that much. Like
it's surprising.
Yeah, you can pick this up $50, $60, $70 in high grade. Unless it's CGC graded, let's say 8.5, 9.0, then it goes it goes up. But see, I'm not into graded books. I will buy them, but I'm gonna. Most of the books that I buy are always raw, and if I do end up buying a CGC book graded, it would have to be either at the cost of what the slab is worth, or it has to be a book of a certain value that it's worth it for me. You know, But other than that, I still prefer to have the book
Yeah,
one.
I only own one slab book out
I
of 20,000 books here. I only own one slab book, and I think we may have lost Mike. So at this point, I want to say thanks to Mike. I don't know if he's going to be able to, like, if his internet's out or if he's coming back, but he was great tonight. He had some great books. Next week, my guest is Adam from Up and Adam Comics. Every time I say that, I want to go up and at them like the guy does on The Simpsons. But I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. If you want to be on my show, reach out and let me know on Instagram. I will be happy to bring you on, especially if you're a smaller channel and you want to get a little bit on the things. I love seeing people join, and I love seeing all the books and stuff. So I would like to say thank you to everybody that showed up tonight. If you're not doing anything next hour, go watch Nate. Yes, Lyle, I know you want to be on my show. You're on for 3 weeks from now. So thank you everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate you all coming, because my name is Matt and I like comics, and I hope you do too. And let's see, is Mike coming out? It doesn't look like Mike's going to be back to say goodbye. So thanks to everybody. Have a great night, and enjoy the rest of your evening.